Alright, listen up. PS5 commercials cost millions to make. Big studios, crazy budgets, insane production teams. But what if I told you I remade this shot with $0? No Hollywood budget, no fancy studio, just me, my PC, and pure CG magic. Sound impossible? Well, buckle up because I'm breaking down exactly how I did it, and trust me, the results are shockingly good. Welcome back to Primal VFX, I'm your host Kart, and if you love seeing high-end VFX act on a budget, smash the like button, subscribe for more awesomeness, and let's dive in right now! Before we dive into the heart of this video, ask yourself, do you ever dream of crafting 3D cinematic sci-fi worlds? Well, buckle up because I've got something extraordinary for you. Welcome to an unexpected odyssey, Episode 1, Environment Modeling with Maya. This full course is your gateway to mastering the art of modeling and designing immersive environments. I will be sharing with you how to plan and organize personal projects, keep motivation, and be efficient in tackling such a large environment scene. Discover a seamless modeling workflow that thrives on precision, channeling attention towards shapes, forms, and harmonious proportions. Uncover ingenious kitbashing and modular asset strategies that infuse life into your scenes. Let's turn your dreams into stunning reality. The adventure begins now, and you can join the journey over at primalvfx.com. Alright, so a few days ago, I'm sipping my coffee and scrolling through Behance. If you've never been, it's basically the holy grail of CG ads and commercials. Packed with killer concepts, endless inspiration. Anyway, I stumbled across this PS5 controller project from Captain JK that's just mind-blowing. The mood, the lighting, the tiny details, everything screams top tier. And I thought, I can totally recreate this. So guess what? I am right here, right now. Buckle up, because I'm about to break down how I remade this entire shot from scratch. Ready? Let's do it! Alright, first things first for this epic commercial shot. We need our PS5 controller model. Sketchfab is my go-to spot for awesome 3D assets at zero cost. So I just tracked down and picked the first one that looks legit. And boom! This one is looking really nice. It's shaped exactly how we like it and textured with crisp maps. Then I hop into Maya. I've got everything prepped. It's oozing that high-tech polish, razor-sharp geometry and next-level details. I've assigned 6 distinct shaders for each controller part. That way every detail pops. I've even done a quick rig, so it's easy to pose later on. Organization is key, so if you pick at the outliner, it's all neatly labeled. Because in any real production or teamwork scenario, messy scenes just won't cut it. The PS5 controller's topology? Spotless. So yeah, this model is basically ready to rock. Next up, scene setup, camera matching, and some quick modeling, you name it. This is where things really start heating up. Alright, let's fire up a fresh scene and drop our PS5 controller model in. I'm cleaning the namespace, because let's face it, organization is everything if you don't want a hot mess later on. Now I load up the reference image, change the render resolution to Full HD. Let's also drop our default studio setup in. It's all about matching the shot, so I focus on the camera first. Center the controller, rotate it towards the lens. Tweak a few settings, so the image plane only shows up in the camera view. I also lower the alpha to keep it in the background without stealing the spotlight. Next, I move the camera in closer and adjust focal length 50mm or lower depending on the vibe, until everything lines up with the reference. It's a bit of trial and error. Rotating, scaling, shifting the controller. But eventually, we lock that perspective. Now for the stage modeling. 4 corners to build, so I start with a cube, delete extra faces, freeze transforms, and position it for the first triangular shape. Duplicate it, slide it around, and build depth behind the controller. Then I cut, extrude, and bevel to form those slick triangular planes. Tiny bevels, because we're going for sharp and stylish, not chunky and sloppy. After some minor adjustments, I duplicate and mirror the shapes for the other sides, making sure nothing's floating. Finally, I add the floor so everything sits just right. And that's it. A clean badass scene ready for the next step. Speaking of which, it will be all about light and look. Let's set the mood and make this scene truly pop. Alright, let's talk lighting. First, I drop in a new area light and switch to perspective. Time to go big. Then I crank roundness to 0.5, soft edge to 0.5 and set samples to 2. Now I rotate this beast, scale it up for a top light. I PR time. It's a bit dim, so I bump the exposure to 2, then 3. Perfect. Quick tip, rename your lights or you'll drown in chaos. Next, I duplicate that light, move the pivot to the bottom, scale it and shove it to the left. Duplicate again for the right side. Don't forget that 180 degrees rotation. If it's too strong, I dial down the exposure. A fast tweak to the base shader helps me see it all more clearly. Rename your lights. Time for rim light. Grab the top light, duplicate, move, scale. Drop exposure to 1 and voila. To refine it, I use the solo button in the IPR. Then I do tiny tweaks on the left and right lights. And because I only want the PS5 controller lit by them, I jump into the relationship editor and set my light linking. Then I duplicate the top light again for the backdrop. Crank exposure to 3, adjusting its position and scale. Next, I duplicate that rim light, drag it front for fill. Check the IPR. Then duplicate one more time and rotate it 180 degrees to reinforce the background. Check the IPR again. Adjust the background fill to exposure 4 for an extra punch. Now it's really popping, almost matching the reference shot. Finally, I rename everything. Keep it tidy, folks. And there we have it, a killer lighting setup ready for that cinematic finish. Next up, we tackle base materials and surface imperfections to give this scene a serious dose of realism. Alright, let's flex our material game and bring this scene to life. I fire up the IPR and start with the body shader. Set metalness to 0.5, roughness to 0.35 and IOR to 0.33. Then drop in the diffuse and normal textures. Add an eye color correct node. Connect everything. And make sure the normal is set to tangent space. If the base color's too dark, I lift up the blacks. And also kill saturation for that sleek look. Don't forget to rename your nodes. Chaos is the enemy. Next up, the pads. I use a glass preset. Tweak the IOR to 1.45. Lower the transmission color and up the thickness to 1 for a nice transparent vibe. Then for the primary controller material, I pick a dark base color, drop the weight to 0.7, set roughness to 0.55 and hook up the normal map. One tip, if you missed setting the normal map to raw in the previous shader, fix it now. The secondary controller material gets a dark tone too. With weight at 0.7, roughness at 0.35 and an IO of 1.55. I slap on a coat at weight 1, roughness 0.3 for that subtle shine. Then for the logo, I go dark, set weight to 0.8, metalness to 0.5, roughness to 0.25 and add a coat at weight 1 with a super low roughness, so it pops like a boss. For the LED, I load an emissive map into the base color, toss in a color correct node and jack the emission to 3, a bit of contrast. And boom, glowing magic. Now for the background. A dark gray base, specular at 0.7, IOR at 1.45. I sprinkle in a surface imperfection texture. Create an IE triplanar node and an IE range node, piping it into the specular roughness. I scale up the texture in the AI triplanar node attributes. In the AI range node attributes, tweak the output max and crank the contrast for those gritty details. Finally, for the backdrop, I'm cranking the color brightness up a notch, then dropping in another eye range node. I hook the previously made triplanar into this new eye range and pipe that into the base color. Lastly, I dial down the output max to 0.5. And boom, looking slick. And there you have it. Cinematic materials with enough attitude to match this next-gen controller. Up next, we'll supercharge this shot with compositing in Nuke. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Alright, let's hop into Nuke and show this render who's boss. Feast your eyes on this fully loaded node graph. Yeah, it's a beast, but that's how pros roll. Check out the before and after. You'll see just how far we've taken this piece. First, we start with our beauty pass and strip it into its core channels. Diffuse, specular direct, specular indirect, coat, transmission, and emission. Each channel gets its own special treatment. Maybe I crank the specular direct and indirect with an exposure node a bit. Now for the emission pass, I'm amping up that orange emissive section with a little extra contrast. To keep it precise, I slapped on a roto mask that only affects the orange, so it pops like crazy. No half measures here. Once I've fine-tuned those passes, I bring them back together using a plus operation, rebuilding a more dynamic beauty. Next, it's color correction time. With Cryptomatte, I can selectively grade the background and even tweak the PS5 controller material, adding that extra punch of contrast. Alright, it's grading time. I use a color lookup node to warm up the highlights with a touch of yellow, then cool down the shadows with blue. After that, I hit it with a color correct node to pump the contrast. And trust me, it's looking crazy good. Next, DOF time using the depth pass. First, I shuffle out the depth, normalize and clamp it, then feed it into a Z-defocus node. The result? Absolutely killer depth of field. Then added a vignette to help focus the viewer's eye. After that, I pile on the final touches. Lens dirt for authenticity, a dash of chromatic aberration, and a fine grain for that cinematic edge. A quick LOT adjustment. Then I threw on an exponential glow to make everything shine like crazy. Finally, I use my multi-output trick, the one you know and love, to bypass any Nuke non-commercial limitations. Want the details? Check out the linked video. No excuses, just pure unadulterated awesomeness. Now enough talk, time for the grand finale. Feast your eyes on the final masterpiece in all its cinematic glory. See how every subtle detail, from the lighting to the compositing, fuses into something truly next level. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and let's keep pushing the boundaries together.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, you know what to do. Subscribe to my channel for more awesomeness. And I see you guys in the next video.